Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matt Leshper with 1836 Property Management, as always, in beautiful downtown Austin, Texas. We have been in business about 18 years. We are located in the center of Austin, and we service Travis, Hayes, and some of the surrounding counties. Today, we have with us Ken Jennings with Mr. Rekey. He is one of our dedicated, experienced, knowledgeable Austin area partner vendors. Mr. Rekey's been working with myself in 1836 for probably going on more than 15 years, maybe closer to 16, 17. Mr. Rekey, as a company, provides services related to code compliance services, such as property rekeying, smoke and carbon monoxide detector, checks, replacement, and much more. Ken, tell us a little bit about yourself, about Mr. Rekey. What do we need to know?
Well, started this company in 1995, hence the gray hair. I'm 65 now. Like, what happened? How did these 30 years fly by? But they did. Coincidentally, we started Mr. Rekey at the same time that Texas passed a part of the Texas Property Code that has to do with locks and rekeying and security for tenants, life and safety things that are important for real estate, rental real estate. And so we began then 30 years ago. And over the last 30 years, we've served all of Texas, pretty much all of Texas, and have rekeyed more homes and brought more properties up to Texas Property Code than probably all the other companies in Texas combined. So I think that gives us a lot of experience at what we've done. There's almost nothing you could run into that we haven't seen. Let's stop shaking.
Absolutely. And so, just for clarification, in case someone is not understanding, when we use the word code, that means it is codified. And so, it is a law in the state of Texas. There are certain things that if you have a rental property, if you rent your home to tenants, however you look at it, if it is a residential rental property, whether it's you, a property manager, these laws apply to everyone, and it's to protect tenants and to keep people safe from not just bad landlords, but from prior tenants, and just to ensure the safety and security of tenants. So if you're thinking that you're going to self-manage a property and you don't need people, you better know what the code is, and be aware that there's the Texas Property Code, and then there are counties, and then there are cities, and then there are all these others, and nobody sends you a postcard and tells you the law changed. So that is the duty of someone who's a professional, is to be up to speed on what those laws are. So in that vein, the video topic today is your investment property legally rent ready? That means it has to be managed in a certain way in regards to the property code to be compliant. Thus, a compliance and management breakdown is what we're going to go over today. The specifics of that are: is it legally rent ready with the city codes, the lock laws, the smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, maybe not, where do you live? What are investors overlooking? Because Ken is seeing not just what property managers are doing, but also hopefully the good landlords out there are giving him a call as well and saying, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but you're a professional. Tell me what I need to be doing because I want to comply with these laws. I'm not trying to skirt them and get sued or have a tenant who wants to walk out of their lease because they found out that you're not compliant. And then how to fix issues quickly and cost effectively, because this is a business. We're here to make money. We're here to deliver a great product. We hope the tenant enjoys it. They pay their rent on time. And that's the business that we're in. So let's jump into our first topic. What makes a property legally rent ready? From make ready to rekeying, can you talk to us about things like city codes, lock laws, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide? I'll let you touch them if you wish or not. That's kind of a different subject. And how much is this going to cost? Because we have owners that sign up with us, they're enthusiastic to get started, and they get a rekey bill, and they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. No, they don't know it's a one-time thing, right? They don't know it's required, but this is legally required. It's not optional. Then there are some really just smart things to do while you're on site, so there's not another charge. Hopefully we can touch those as well. So Ken, tell me what we need to know to get us started.
Yeah, that's great. You covered a lot there. You're right that this is a litigious business, managing rental properties, and there are lots of laws, statutes, codes, ordinances, other things like that. So there's a lot to juggle and make sure you're covering all your bases. And as you said, they overlap depending on the county and state, and obviously state is Texas, but the county and the city and so forth. Uh, and you mentioned the upfront cost. That is the scary thing, because we are talking about, when you bring it up to code, here's what you're looking at. Each door leaving the living area has to have a few things, like the one-sided deadbolt. Many people have already heard about that. They've seen it. Some people try to shortcut it with other things from Lowe's or Home Depot. No, there's only certain things that are allowed to comply with that code. We recommend the one-sided deadbolt. Of the three choices, that's the best. But to install a one-sided deadbolt on each door is no small thing. Not all doors are made to have another deadbolt put in, right? And so there's a delicacy with doing that. You don't want to damage the door. You want to make it look like it's factory, right? So you have to have the one-sided deadbolt. That's number one. Number two is it has to have a keyed lock, right? So that people can lock the door, unlock the door, depending on what they need. And number three, and the thing that's missed a lot, is the door viewers, right? And the law requires the door viewer to be in the door if there's not a full pane, or not a full pane, but if there isn't clear glass to see through, you've got to have a door viewer. And that includes all doors, including the door leaving the house into the garage. So that door also has to have the door viewer, and that's missed. And as Matt was saying, it's not just the lock. Oh, and then patio doors. Oh my goodness, you got to have pin locks. That's dangerous, because you can break patio doors glass when you're installing pin locks. You got to have a working latch or Charlie bar along with the pin lock. So when it comes to locks, there are all those things required, and some doors, like French doors, might even require something more, right? But on top of that, then you are looking at how old are these locks, right? Are they locks in good working condition? Are they the kind of locks that are going to lock out a tenant, which you don't want, right? Are there locks on bedrooms? There's a lot of different things with the locks. And then layered on top of that, as Matt was saying, is the smoke alarms. That's a big life safety issue. And it has a whole section in the Texas Property Code that's required that. And many cities and counties have added that as well. But it's there here in Texas. And then on top of that, you do have CO detectors. Cities like Austin, which you're familiar with, require these CO detectors installed. I think really for the safety factor, almost all cities should do it, but not all smaller towns do it, but that's a requirement. So looking at all of these layers and doing all that up front when you first turn your property into a rental property, that's a big expense. You could be looking at $500. You could be looking at $1,000, maybe more if it's a large home with lots of doors. That can have a big impact. So that is a shock. It's a sticker shock when somebody makes that decision, I'm going to rent my home out, and they choose a quality company like 1836, and they say, hey, do what you got to do, and you're going to make that decision that protects their liability. That decision is not cheap. Now, it's a one-time expense. Yes, it happens the first time. After that, you're just looking at rekey, right? Because everything's done. So after that, you're looking at 120, 130, 140, whatever it is to do a rekey after the initial bringing it up to code, right? Which is huge. Beyond that, the only things you really have to do is keep track of how old your smoke alarms are getting. Because every once in a while, you'll want to replace all of those, right? Recommended like every 10 years, right? We'll go into that maybe some more. I don't know, Matt plans on touching on that. But so every 10 years, you're going to have 7 to 10 years, you're going to have that expense. But other than that, the biggest hit comes when you first rent, right? Did I get sidetracked?
I think you did good. There's a couple points under this topic I want to make sure that we at least touch on, because if not, we may throw them in later and throw everybody off. So tell me about, you get a new tenant, they're ready to move in. How long, can I do this next month? Do I have to do it before they show up? What is the time period? What does the code state?
That's a great question, because there's a lot of confusion on that, when to do it. But you have legally up to 7 days after the tenant moves in to get these things done. So some people will do them before the tenant moves in. Some will do it after the tenant moves in. But if you're doing it after the tenant moves in, you have 7 days to get it done. And I was going to mention that one of the reasons you're doing this is because if you don't bring it up to code, you do open yourself up to liability, right? And people breaking their lease. Maybe I'm running ahead on that, but you got to get it done. It's just a requirement.
Yeah, and I want to take ownership of a couple things. When we were starting out, I was the one going to properties, and I never done a rekey because that's out of my wheelhouse. But we would try to fix things, repair things, and pin locks used to cost, I don't know, $9. And so we thought one day, let's just pull out a drill and put this pin lock in. I mean, how hard can it be, right?
Yeah.
And we shattered $1,000 sliding patio glass door. And you know who wrote the check for that, right? I mean, that wasn't the owner's fault. And so that was the last time I've ever attempted to do anything of that nature because I learned my lesson. I think another time I had a handyman work for me and he did the same. So we may have broken two in 18 years, which is not bad, but we don't touch those things anymore. So have a professional do this. I would always obviously suggest Mr. Rekey because that's who we trust with this and who's been around the longest and whose reputation is the best. I'll leave it at that. But if you think you're going to do these things yourself, and I'm letting you know that you're going to cause more headache and have more trouble than having somebody that knows what they're doing. If you go and try to install a keyless lock on the door, and I hope I'm not skipping ahead too much, but what if you don't know what the height requirements are? And you put a hole in that door and now it still doesn't meet the property code because you didn't know there was a height requirement. So there's a lot of idiosyncrasies. And I will say that, with trusted professionals and vendors that we do business with, they take that insecurity away because they know what they're doing. And we've done this hundreds, if not thousands of times. You touched on a couple things, and I want to go back to tell us what investors often overlook. You mentioned that one of those was the peephole. What else do you see investors commonly overlook? Because you service property management companies, you service landlords that are independent landlords as well. So you see kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly. What are you seeing missed frequently?
Well, the door viewer was one of those things that does get missed. And you did bring up smoke alarms and CO detectors, right? I would say those are items that get missed a lot, right? They walk into the home, they see a smoke alarm, they go, "Oh, we're good. We have a smoke alarm," but you're not good, right? There has to be one in every bedroom, right? Inside the bedroom. And then on top of that, there has to be one outside the bedroom. Now, it's true that bedrooms that share a hallway can share their smoke alarm, but having one inside, having one outside, that gets missed a lot, right? And you have to make sure they're in good working order, right? There's a lot where the previous tenants have taken batteries out, or smoke alarm never worked in the first place. And that is why when we're doing the rekeys or even the initial bring up to code, we test all the smoke alarms with smoke, right? We want to make sure that it's not just the battery by pushing the button and you make it chirp. That doesn't guarantee it works. You've got to spray it with smoke. And especially in these older homes, you get smoke alarms that are old that have been accumulating dust and what have you over the years. You clean out underneath your refrigerator, right? That same kind of dust is inside your smoke alarms. You got to make sure they're in good working order. And it's even brand new ones, even brand new homes where people walk in, they go, "Hey, it's a brand new home and I got all my smoke alarms," and they're feeling good. But that doesn't mean they work. Manufacturers make mistakes. I can't tell you how many homes we've gone into, brand new smoke alarms. You spray them with smoke, they don't work. They're not in working condition. I've had it where I've gone to my supplier, bought a case of smoke alarms, and we tested them, and some didn't work. So that is the thing that gets overlooked a lot. Another big thing that we just touched on was CO detectors. People don't know where to put them. There's so much conflicting information. The state says one thing, the city says something. The city has a website that says something, but the city ordinance says something different than the city's website, right? So who's going to sort that out? And it all comes down to liability protection, right? It comes down to having standard procedures in all of your properties across the board, right? That is another, and again, I'm probably running ahead, but that's another advantage in having a property management professional manage your home, because they have a perfect defense in case of a lawsuit, right? This is the way we've done it all the way along, all of our properties. Our vendor has done millions of homes exactly the same way along. And so if you stand in front of a judge and you can show that, that makes sense versus, well, I think I changed the smoke alarms. Not sure if I did. Don't know if they were working. I think they were working. I saw a smoke alarm. My cousin Bill had a smoke. I don't know. But all these things are, I think they're things that get overlooked. So having somebody who just has the checklist, they show up, they make sure everything is done, click, 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 click down the line. That's what you want, in my opinion, but I'm biased. So,
On the light side of the liability, if something goes wrong, your tenant contacts somebody locally, lets you know that you didn't meet the property code, and as a result, they're going to walk out of their lease. That's the light side of it. The heavier side is you didn't rekey it, and the prior tenants walk back into that house to do whatever they want, whenever they want. The worst case is the smoke detectors don't work. If you're a landlord, I cannot imagine what that would feel like to have someone harmed because you simply tried to save money. It's not something I would want to live with, and I just can't say enough. We need people doing the right things. If we want to go to court as landlords and have some integrity when tenants don't do things well, we have to hold up our end of the bargain as well, follow the laws, do what we're supposed to do, and protect human lives. And that means testing the smoke alarms. It means not letting one that has an expiration of 10 years. Look, if you throw away the mayonnaise when it gets old, this is a smoke detector. And it may not be your family in there, but it's someone's family. And you really need to do the right thing. And by having a vendor go in there, they have a checklist and they execute this with every property. They're going to look at every one of those. And there are stickers on smoke detectors. I don't think anybody knows that, but there are. And maybe it still works, but do you want to find out if there's a fire? It's just not worth it. So one other thing inside this topic that it wasn't on our notes, Ken, but I know you'll know the answer.
Sure.
So new houses are typically hardwired for smoke detectors.
Yes.
Older houses, that wasn't a thing. Does it have to be hardwired? What if it's not? Is there any issues with that whatsoever?
And that's a good question. It's a topic not a lot of people are aware of. So I'm glad you brought that up. Our policy is when a smoke alarm is a wired-in smoke alarm, we replace it with a wired-in smoke alarm, right? We're not an electrician. We don't do the initial install. We replace those that are broken or missing. But we always replace a wired-in one if it's outdated or if it's non-functioning. We replace with another wired-in one. That's the right thing to do. We see oftentimes maintenance people from other property management companies, remain unnamed, who will put the wired-in one dies, so they put a battery one next to it. That's not going to cut it. You're not doing the right thing, and it could come back and bite you in the butt, right? When the house does not have wired-in smoke alarms, like many older ones, you get back into the 90s and beyond, they may have only had one wired-in one or no wired-in ones. Then you can put in a battery-operated one. The law allows you to put battery-operated ones in. However, if at any point you remodel that home and the cost of remodeling exceeds a certain dollar amount, then if you pulled permits, which you should do, they're going to require this new repair, this new update, this remodel to have wired-in smoke alarms. You will have to have an electrician come in and put them in at that time, right? But again, older homes can have battery operated ones. If we have a battery operated one that's defective or missing, we replace it with another battery operated one. It is tricky when you're replacing wired in smoke alarms, right? Is it going to, if you're replacing just one, is it going to be compatible with the other wired in smoke alarms? Today, fortunately, many manufacturers make them all universal. As many things as it matures as an industry, it becomes more universal. But you go to some of these older homes and you take a smoke alarm and you plug it in, it may not be in harmony with the rest of them. So you've got to make sure. There's just a lot of nuances with smoke alarms that you want to get straight.
These are the details that no one considers when they think, you know what, I don't have much to do on Sunday. I'll just replace the smoke alarm. And then 14 trips to Home Depot and Lowe's later, it doesn't work still. And they end up calling you. I got to tell you guys, whether it's managing your property or rekeying your property, call a professional, pay a professional, have it done right. This is what they do for a living. Let the liability go and spend your Sunday with your families. It's not worth saving $50 and finding out 2 days later that nothing worked and you end up spending an extra $500 and lost your Sunday with your family. It's just not that big of a ticket item. One of the things that we track, which is on topic and a little bit off as well, is days to active when an owner manages the maintenance and when our company manages the make-ready maintenance. And we're typically at least 7 to 10 days faster. Now, at a holding cost of $100 a day, it's around $1,000 less if you look at holding costs and you get a week back of your life. So Rekey, management, all this stuff. I've got properties in another state as well as Austin, the area. I pay another property manager, no question. It was never up for debate. I need somebody with boots on the ground who's an expert because I have no idea what the laws are in that state. And when they change, I'm not reading the newspaper from another state about codes over there. It's not going to happen. So I say this not just to our local landlords, but to the significant number of investors we have in California. Even if you don't hire 1836, call Ken at Rekey, call a professional property manager that does this, that has been doing it for 2 decades, that knows what they're doing, and ask them about their policies and procedures so you know that they are going to do this systematically and that they're up on all the laws. So the last section we've got to go over today, Ken, is tell us about where Mr. Rekey shines, because there's a lot of guys out there. And to be honest, you've trained half of them. And I find that kind of fascinating because everybody goes out there and works for Ken and then thinks they're just gonna go out on their own, and they try, but loyalty is a big thing for us. I hope it's a big thing for people watching this today. And when you have somebody that's taught everybody else, do I really want to, I don't know, roll the dice and see if this new guy actually can show up on time and isn't taking money from me and everything else? So tell me where Rekey shines. Is it the speed, the scale, the compliance? Like, where's the differentiating factor for Mr. Rekey compared to all these one-off people in the market?
Yeah, the difference between us and Lunchbox Larry Locksmith, right? The difference is going to be we understand about making it rent ready and getting it done now, today, correctly, fast. You brought that up. We're going to be better than the guy that's going to get around to it, right? Let me take care of this today. I'll get to you on what we've got the team. We're going to get to it now. The other thing is, broken doors, right? You were talking about somebody breaking a patio door because they're drilling a hole into it or destroying a door. That happens to us too, right? Things are going to happen with techs that we're training, and things do happen. The difference is, what do you do when it happens, right? We're the company that's going to fix that door, replace that door if we had to. We had a $4,000 door last year. It makes me sick that we had to do it, but somebody made a mistake. Things happen, unforeseen circumstances. You want a company that's going to stand behind it. Larry Lunchbox Locksmith is going to go, call your insurance. I broke your door. Sorry. Gee, moving on down the line. We're not going to do that. We're going to make sure that we stand behind everything we do. And there's a value in that. The experience prevents the problem from happening. But when it happens, the size of your company, the commitment to your company is what's going to make it better. And when things go bad and a customer gets upset, like, hey, this door got damaged. Yes, it did. But that's why you use us. You use us because we're going to make it better. We're going to fix it. We're going to fix it now. We're going to get it ready to go. And well, I'll get off my soapbox. So, but that's the point.
I'm right there with you. We're managing close to 900 properties at the day we're filming this video. And I can't have a guy out there hoping he shows up and his truck doesn't break down. I have to have a company with policies and procedures that does things systematically, that checks the list every time they go down it, and that also gives us advice on things we could be doing while they're on site to avoid things in the future. And one of these I'm just going to throw out as a bonus because we're kind of at the end of this video and I think we started a couple minutes late anyway, is something that we've seen come up, and we've had some pushback on it from owners, and I'll fight this battle all day long as being the right thing to do. And it is keyed interior door locks. This was never a thing. It never came up for 15 years. And all of a sudden in the last year, we've had, I think, a couple properties where the owners were very upset because we took the keyed lock. Let's say you have a bedroom, master bedroom, second, third bedroom, and there's a keyed lock on it. Well, we're going to remove that keyed lock and put a normal lock on it. So, like if the kid locks themselves in the bedroom, you can get a knife and unlock the door and the kid is safe, right? And we've had a couple owners go, well, I don't want to pay for that. It's not legally required. Well, it's not legally required, but I want you to think what people are going to do at midnight on a Friday when their babies just locked themselves in the bedroom and they can't get in.
Yeah.
They're going through that door.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, you're causing it because we're leaving that. And what keys are you going to put on it? So let's say you rekey the whole house. So the other occupants have a key to the door, right? Because they live there. So then we're going to rekey the bedrooms to a different key. Well, who's going to track that? It just goes to nowhere quickly. And so this is one of those things that instead of just getting the check and saying, can you pay me now? I've got another job. Mr. Rekey really helps us keep an eye out for, because they know what happens down the road if we don't handle these things while they're on site. It's really inexpensive to take care of things up front. Prevention, right? Pound to cure, you're replacing that door and that tenant's going to blame you for the way that house was configured because you never gave them a key. Well, you can't rekey it. I mean, because it's just a mess, right? The whole thing is a mess. There's no easy answer. And if they do it on their own, then they're responsible for it. And we don't permit that, but people do what they do. We can't control other humans. But in this business, tenants are going to have issues. Let's prevent as many as we can. And we've got that with great policies and procedures and standards that we have internal as well as collaborative with our vendors because they give us feedback. Let's do everything we can to avoid risk and liability and lawsuits down the road. And that's why we love the preferred vendors that we have and we work so closely with them. I'm very, very happy and proud to say that starting the 1st of 2025, we have the first position that I'm aware of in the nation for any property management company, which is brand awareness coordinator. And it's easy to say, well, they're supposed to go out and sell our company. But the truth is they're actually helping us by offering to meet with our preferred vendors every quarter, take their feedback and bring it to the company. Take the property managers and maintenance team's feedback and give it to that vendor and say, hey, I know we have two separate companies and we're all going to break eggs in the course of business, but how do we do business better together? How do we streamline this? How do we avoid errors? How do we make this just function smooth every time so that we have the best outcome for both of our clients? And that's something we're working towards. We just had the first calls for that at the end of Q1. And it just feels so good when you can actually go back to people and help them. And Mr. Rekey has not only been in business longer than I have, I think, but Ken has been at other businesses. And so he's been really helpful to me as a person. But some of these vendors, which are excellent at service, they're guys that go out and turn a screw. And they just hope that they have time on the weekends to do billing. We have to help them with their business because they don't always know the ins and the outs. We had some questions come up about taxation in the last 2 months, and we really had to get into the Texas tax assessor's office codes to find out what was going where. And when you have somebody that's as sturdy and as standardized as Mr. Rekey and Ken, you just have a great partner that can help you work through those things instead of fumbling around and hoping for the best until someone sends you a letter from an attorney and lets you know that you missed something. So I just want to say thanks for Ken supporting us, supporting our investors, because that is our job, is to be the guide for these investors, not to ask them, hey, well, I don't know, do you want a Rekey? No. If you hire a property manager that asks you what you want to do, you just hired somebody that's a dependent, not somebody that's leading you toward financial success. So you need somebody that comes to you and says, hey, this is the code. We have to do this because I care about you and your liability. You need a leader. And hopefully we're that for you. Hopefully Mr. Rekey is that for us and our investors when it comes to that niche of rekeying, code compliance, and everything else to do with the Texas property code. So Ken, we have covered a lot today. We've covered code compliance. We've covered carbon monoxide detectors, which are just a mess, not because they are, but because the bureaucrats, they've turned it into a mess because nobody could decide what to do and then how to transmit that to the public and where that applies and where it doesn't. I'm really glad we get to work together. It's been an honor to work with you all these years and to just learn from you because you've been in this business and then before others. It's really nice to see you still here. It's nice to see you around. You've been really
I like
supportive.
still being here.
You've been really supportive to all property managers, and we have friendly competition in Austin as well, right? Those of us that care about the industry, care about our clients, we know who each other are and we respect each other. And Ken has been there to support all of us, including our trade groups over the years. And it's been just great. It's been a great part of our journey. So what can we add that we have failed to share today with our viewers about Mr. Rekey or you?
Wow. Well, I think you've done great. Just everything I did would just be a wrap up. So I really appreciate working with you. I appreciate having property management clients that are concerned to do things the correct way. It makes our job very easy. And I think keep up the good work, Matt. You're amazing. And thank you for all the business you've sent our way over the years. I'm always available to answer questions. So if you're managing your own property or you're working with a different property, whatever the case is, always feel free to give us a call. We'll answer your questions. We'll give you guidance. We'll help you see what you need to do to manage your rental property.
Spectacular. And I just popped into the notes here, if I can get my computer screens to comply, the contact information for Ken and his company. You can always find them online. You can email them. If you have a question, give them a call. They're normal people. They're here to do the right thing and support you. They're not some corporate conglomerate out of New York that doesn't care about you and won't answer the phone. So let them know what you need. Let them know if they can help you. That's their job, and they take it seriously, same as we do as well. A couple things I want to make sure that we at least mention, and we're in my notes, and it's important in case someone has a question. You are fully licensed because that is a requirement in the state of Texas. You are insured, and you specialize working with investors and property managers. When people buy and they don't really think about Rekey, they should, because it's so inexpensive on a new home. They don't have to come up to this property code compliance and everything else, but they don't, and they should. So for real estate agents that are watching, what a nice gift at closing is to get that home secured with a new set of keys so that your buyer doesn't have the old seller walk in the middle of the night because they forgot something a week later, or they maybe, well, who knows why they're wandering around in the middle of the night, but let's just hope they don't come back to roost. Also, Ken, over the last number of years, your wife has been working with you, and Jessica has done great things for you to improve your system.
She has been, oh my God, she's been amazing. She handles everything. She's made my life so simple now. She is the head of Mr. Rekey. I've had to pass the baton on to her younger, brighter, energetic self. She has played such a role in streamlining everything, how we take orders, how things are processed, communications with clients, making it just go faster, the latest technologies, our website, everything to make it easy for property managers. They want to place an order. They're busy, right? You're busy. Your team is busy. How do we place an order fast, get it in the system, get the job done, speed of implementation. That's her. She's just been amazing. So you don't get the old guy anymore so much, other than I answer questions and I'm the founder and consultant here. But the real nuts and bolts happens with Jessica. She is there every day, streamlining and making the service better and better, keeping us up to date with, she's worked with AI. She's doing everything that she can do to make us more relevant every day. So I think of us as a very young organization, although I've been around for 30 years. But she has breathed so much young life into this business that, yeah, I'm the most blessed man on the planet. She is really, so you will see things go fast, and I can't take credit for that. She's the one. If you see the technology that we have to make things go faster, that's her. She gets the credit for that.
And it is important to give that credit. I always am pleased to say, because I had strong women in my family, that those of us that are true Texans respect what those women bring to the table, because we need strong partners. We don't need somebody who's in the wings. We need somebody who we can consider tough and an equal. And we really love that, because I think that's kind of the spirit of the people that started this place. Is everybody chipped in. Nobody was on the sidelines. So it's a privilege to be able to give her the credit where it's due. And
she deserves it.
Privileged to work with Mr. Rekey as well. Ken, thank you for your time today. Thanks for just
Thank you for having me.
Morning with us. We really value you guys, and you are essential parts of real estate investing in Austin. We're really just glad to have you guys in the community. Thanks so much. We'll see you the next time. And if we can do anything for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.